When you live outside of Sweden and see videos like this or this, you might be tempted to pack your bags and move to Sweden, land a job overnight and start to live the perfect lagom life with fika twice a day. But here's what they don't tell you. Finding a job in Sweden is a lot harder than it looks. I've been living in Sweden for almost 10 years now, and I know several people that live here with a master's degree, some even have two. They speak very good Swedish and still struggling to find a job for many years. And this is why I made this video. So today I'm gonna talk about why Sweden's job market is so tough, where the real opportunities are, and how you can actually position yourself to land a job fast. This is episode 1 of my new series, Work in Sweden and How to Find Your Dream Job. If you're new here, my name is Robi, a Tanzanian living in Sweden since 2015. I moved here as a spouse, which meant starting from scratch with no job. Today, I work in the thriving tech industry in Malmö as a digital product owner. And I started this channel to share my journey as a foreigner in Sweden. The challenges, the lessons. Basically, I make videos that I wished existed when I just moved to Sweden. Let's dive into the video, shall we? First, let's talk about why is it so hard to get a decent job in Sweden. Well, there are 3 reasons. There could be more, but I decided to keep it down to 3 reasons. A highly educated society is the first one. So Sweden has one of the most educated workforces in the world. And competition for jobs is fierce, even for locals. Here, having a master's degree is often the norm. What's even more surprising is that Swedes have specialized training for almost everything. You can study to become a waiter, receptionist, or even a bargain hunter. Yes, that's a real thing. This level of structured education and certification means that for nearly every job, there is a qualified Swedish candidate ready to step in. And let's not forget about language skills. Most Swedes I know, they speak fluent English. And this happens from a very young age. For example, my daughter is in class 2 and is already learning English in school. If you're a foreigner like me and you're competing for oversaturated jobs, you'll be at a serious disadvantage. Unless you have a rare, highly in-demand skill, finding work can take months, if not years. It took me 3 years. The second reason is that international jobs are highly competitive. So while Sweden has a strong international job market, roles that don't require Swedish are in high demand and attract a large pool of applicants. This is because, as I said in the first point, most Swedes are fluent in English and can compete for these positions. And if you are targeting customer service or administrative roles at international organizations, it's even more competitive because employers often prefer candidates who speak multiple languages. English plus Swedish or another European language like Danish or Norwegian or German. So to stand out, you will need to go beyond just meeting the job requirements. But let me not scare you. Finding an English-speaking job in Sweden isn't impossible. I am proof that's possible. However, expect a competitive market where connections and persistence make all the difference. By the way, if you're finding this helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps my channel to grow. The third reason and the last reason is reserved society. Well, Swedes tend to be more reserved, which influences both their social interactions and professional decisions. So in the workplaces, this reserved nature means they often prefer hiring individuals who come recommended through their existing networks. While Swedish companies value skills and experience, trust and familiarity often holds just as much weight in the hiring process. So, where are the jobs? I came across this research done by the Swedish Bureau of Statistics, or SCB in short, on the future of work in Sweden. The following areas seems to be in high demand. First is healthcare. Sweden is facing a major shortage of doctors, nurses, and physiotherapists. By 2035, every region will need more medical professionals. And then you have tech and engineering. Stockholm, Gothenburg, and Malmö are booming with jobs in IT. This is one of the best fields for expats or immigrants because many companies hire in English. And in education, there is a high demand for teachers. Now that we have discussed where the jobs are, here's how to improve your chances. You need to avoid fields that have no demand. For example, if you're dreaming of a career in journalism, media, or humanities, you might want to rethink your game plan. These areas tend to have more qualified graduates than available jobs, according to the same research by the Swedish Bureau of Statistics. By 2035, there'll be way more graduates than positions in these fields. Take Uppsala or Kalmar, for example. They are projected to have double the number of journalism candidates than the market can handle. And for my fellow foreigners like me, I wouldn't recommend these fields because competition with locals will be fierce. I am not saying don't follow your passion, but maybe try to pair it with something more in demand. How about combining communication skills with tech, for example? Just a thought. The next point is focus on fields where demand is high and competition is lower. For example, you can't go wrong with the following fields. Healthcare. Think about this. People would always need doctors, nurses, and caregivers. And Sweden's aging population has created a constant demand for medical professionals. Tech is also one of those hot fields. The country is a major hub for startups and innovation, with companies always on the lookout for skilled software developers, data analysts, and cybersecurity experts. And then you have engineering. Sweden's infrastructure and manufacturing sectors are growing rapidly, and they rely on professionals in these fields. Lastly, you have education. Kids are born every day and they need teachers. So if you have the qualifications in education, your skills will always be in demand, especially for subjects like math, science, and special education. Beyond these areas, there are some industries like renewable energy and logistics, which are still growing super fast and offering plenty of opportunities for skilled workers. The next point is be flexible. If your field isn't in demand, consider upskilling or pivoting. For example, back in Tanzania, where I am from, I used to work in the banking sector. And I had reached a point in my career where I was asked to apply for certain positions by recruiters. So I had a lot of experience. But after moving to Sweden and seeing the demand for IT jobs, I decided to move to tech. It's been one of the best decisions I've ever made. Today, I work as an agile product owner in a global furniture company that is originally Swedish. You probably know what that company is. Be open to different locations. Stockholm, for example, has tons of competition, but places like northern Sweden are desperate for skilled workers. So if you really need a job and you have nothing that is holding you, why don't you move and live in these areas? And then networking is key and crucial in Sweden, and building relationships, whether through professional events, LinkedIn is the best for finding jobs in Sweden, or even casual social gatherings can significantly improve job prospects. And if you're a student, make sure you attend those career fairs. Learn some Swedish, especially if you're aiming for a job in healthcare, like nursing or being a doctor, teaching, or even engineering. Swedish is a must. These fields require frequent interactions with locals. For tech jobs, Swedish isn't usually required. Many companies operate in English and have international teams. For example, I work in English, so English is non-negotiable. If you're a foreigner, you need to at least be able to speak English. That said, even if your job doesn't require Swedish, learning the basics can go a long way. It helps with networking where you work, integrating into the workplace, and making daily life in Sweden so much easier. It doesn't have to be perfect, just the one that you can, converse during fika. So here are my final thoughts. Living in Sweden is amazing, but getting a job here isn't that easy as people think. It takes planning, choosing the right industry, and sometimes even reinventing yourself. So over to you. What has your job hunting experience been like in Sweden? Any tips? Let me know in the comments. You know, I love to read your comments and I try to respond to all the comments that I get. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and stay tuned for next week's episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, which is right here. Hey do!